What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday, late night recording here for me immediately after the NBA draft. I don't want to make this too long, but I wanted to recap for a lot of people who, may have not watched or wasn't really tapped into some of the people that were drafted. So we're just going to do a quick little episode here, kind of recapping, and then send you guys off into the weekend. This is your Sports Digest. I'm your host, Alex McNinch. If you hear anything, I'm trying to refresh to see all these guys who are undrafted, trying to sign two-way deals or Exhibit 10s. Currently, right now, that we're in that stage where everybody's going to start signing and it's going to be an overflow. So if there's any notable names, more likely Florida guys, or like the Oscar Shibways, or two Bellis or Sonogos that are signed, I'll tell you about them. But right now, let's talk about the draft, man. And I know I gave you my mock draft. It was awful, but that's the mock draft, man. I don't have a running concurrent mock draft. Unlike these ESPN people that say, "Oh, my mock drafts were perfectly fine," because you kept updating it up until the minute before the draft. Like I submitted mine like a day prior, so understandable that some of these things were to happen. My big board, I have some thoughts on some of these players where they went, but hey, that's kind of the beauty of the NBA draft. You really don't know what's going to happen, and that's what's really fun about it. Obviously, everybody knows the top four Pistons picked Asar Thompson. There's a lot of traction about that. I got that wrong. The Magic took Anthony Black. I had him going 8, and he started rising up the last day prior. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great pickup for the Magic. He's going to be a great pick. But the real question here is at number 7. And the Pacers and Wizards did a little swap here at 7 and 8, where the Wizards got up to 7 and the Pacers went down to 8. And the Pacers drafted Jarris Walker out of Houston. He fell down a little bit. And then the Wizards ended up picking Bilal Coulibaly, the guy from France who played with Wembanyama. I had him going 12 to the Thunder. That's just wild. First of all, I did not expect him to go that high. He is a good talent. I just didn't expect him to go that high. Obviously, we're talking about all this without saying one name. We'll get to him later. The Thunder and the Mavericks made a trade that involved Davis Bertans in the swap of the 10 and 12th pick in the draft. Mavericks get Derek Lively. I nailed that one. And then the Thunder ended up getting Cason Wallace, which I don't really know how to feel about that. Obviously, you can play Giddey at the 3, but I don't know. I like Wallace's defense. He's going to be a great 6-man off the bench for them to start out his career, but I don't know. That'd be interesting. Jett Howard went at 11. He went higher than expected. I had him higher on my player board anyways. I think he's a great pick. Grady Dick ended up going to the Toronto Raptors. Did not expect him to go a little bit that low, but it's okay. Jordan Hawkins nailed that pick to the Pelicans. Kobe Buffkid nailed that pick to the Hawks. Keontae George, I said he was going to slip a little bit. He didn't get down to 21, but he got to 16th to the Jazz. Jalen Hood-Schifino, I thought about that a lot, about doing it in my mock drafts, but ended up opting to go to the Jazz for him. But the Lakers take him at 17. Jaime Jaquez, I told you he was going to jump up a lot, type of guy the Warriors would want. He ended up snagging him before the Warriors get a chance at 18. Brandon Podziemski goes to the Warriors at 19. Obviously, don't make it to 25 where the Grizzlies are, where that's just a whole thing that we don't even have time to talk about. I guess we could talk about it Monday. We might talk about it at the end. So stay tuned if you want to hear my full reactions on that trade, because that was a wild one over the weekend, or over the couple days that I didn't record. And then the one to really talk about here at 20 with the Rockets, Cam Whitmore, a guy I had going 5 to the Pistons. A lot of teams had him going in the top 5, especially to 4 at the Rockets. They were weighing that option on Whitmore and Amen Thompson. Ended up opting to go with Thompson. Whitmore falls all the way down to 20 and falls right into the hands of the Rockets. What a pickup. I know there were some questions about some of his workouts and his interviews maybe not being the most stellar or showing off alpha activities, I guess. But I don't know why that would truly deter you away when the play on the court shows you enough potential, and the rest of the stuff around his other workouts was good enough to get him drafted high. That was a big slip there to 20. That's the biggest one of the night. Cam Whitmore going down to 20 at the Rockets. Clowney, I nailed that one. Whitehead nailed that one. Let's talk about the Blazers not having a heart or soul and picking Chris Murray right before the Kings draft. Don't get to reunite the twin brothers. That sucks. Bunch of assholes over there for the Blazers. And then the Kings end up like, you know what? We're so depressed about this. Let's trade the pick to the Mavericks. The Mavericks get the 24th pick. They also they also get Rashawn Holmes from the Kings as a salary dump. And then the Mavericks go ahead and get Olivier Maxence Prosper, Max Prosper, a really good defensive player. The Mavericks nailed this draft in the aspect of filling what they needed, and it was defensive players around their star guards. You got Lively at center, great defensive center. You get Max Prosper, great defensive wing / big man, I guess. Great draft for the Mavericks. The Pistons have the 25th pick via Boston. They take Marcus Sasser. He goes really high for what I expected. And then a guy at 26 who I thought was going to rise up into the earlier parts of the first round or the second round, late first round. Ben Shepherd goes to the Pacers. Nick Smith Jr., big drop here as well for him. Not really knowing his value. He goes down to 27 at the Hornets. They take a shot on him. And then at 28, the Jazz take Bryce Sensabaugh, another guy who drops all the way down. They take a shot on him. Pacers pick Julian Strawther, a guy who was projected second rounder at 29. I think that goes to Denver. That goes to Denver. Sorry, that's a Nuggets pick right there at 29. And then at 30, the Clippers draft Kobe Brown, who I had going to the Grizzlies at the 45th pick, and he got there at 30. So that's interesting. Then we're not going to go over every second round pick. We'll go over some of the guys that are big names. Leonard Miller drops all the way down to the second round. The Timberwolves traded up to 33 to get him from the Spurs. I don't know how he fell that far. He is a fantastic talent. Great pickup for the Timberwolves right there. Colby Jones, another dude I really liked, dropped all the way down to the second round, but it was kind of apparent that he was going to do that in the past week. The Kings traded up to 34 to get him. The Bulls traded up to get Julian Phillips at 35. I think that's a great pickup just because of the fact Julian Phillips was a 5-star prospect, super athletic, great defensive player, just needs to develop. The Bucks trade up to 36 to get Andre Jackson Jr. He slips a little bit down farther. And man, what a pickup for the Bucks. I like Andre Jackson Jr. a lot. Maxwell Lewis had him at the end of the first round, drops all the way down to 40 to the Lakers. Man, what a great pick for the Lakers. Another guy who's super good offensively, but the defensive parts are in question. Amari Bailey, a guy I really liked as well, went 41 to the Hornets. That's another point guard that the Hornets drafted. Ryan Rupert, I had him going 23 to the Trailblazers. He ends up going 43 to the Trailblazers. So I'm counting that as pity points for my my tally on how many picks I got right. We'll go with that one. And then at 45, the Grizzlies draft G.G. Jackson out of South Carolina, former number 1 overall recruit, super athletic, great scorer, great defender, just was inconsistent his freshman year at South Carolina, understandably so. When you're the best player on a very bad team, you tend to take more shots and try to force more stuff up. So I don't expect that to really be an issue going on to the next level. And at 45, when a lot of people were saying this guy can go early outside of the lottery, like this is a really good pick at 45 here for us Grizzly fans. Seth Lundy goes at 46, another guy I really liked. Monty Bates, former number 1 guy as well, drops all the way down to 49 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. At 50, the Thunder pick Keontae Johnson, Florida Gator legend. Obviously have a great story about collapsing on the court, having the heart condition, coming back, transferring to Kansas State, and ending up being able to play. What a story right there for him. So happy to see him get drafted. Another dude who also gets drafted, Jalen Clark at 53 by the Timberwolves. They get themselves the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year right there. Great pickup for whenever he gets healthy. The Grizzlies then draft Tarek Biberovic. I don't even know how to say it. He's a draft and stash guy, was reported at 56. We don't have any more roster spots this year. Might as well just get a draft and stash guy. And then 2 guys you guys would probably know names of. The Warriors ended up drafting Trace Jackson Davis at 57, and then the Bucks end up getting Chris Livingston out of Kentucky at 58. That's the NBA draft. Lot of movement, a lot of unexpected stuff throughout the night, especially through the middle parts of the first round. Looking at some of the undrafted free agents that we see here, I'm kind of scrolling down here to try to find some of the names. Mike Miles from TCU, undrafted, signing a two-way with the Dallas Mavericks. Marquise Noel, the 5'6" point guard from Kansas State, who had 19 assists in the Elite Eight run with Kansas State, signs a two-way deal with the Toronto Raptors. That's a name you guys would know, and a person that you are aware of seeing. Ricky Council, the fourth from Arkansas, signs a two-way deal with the 76ers. And then the 76ers also get Azuolas Tubelis from Arizona and Terquavion Smith from NC State on two-way deals. And Terquavion Smith's a sad story because last year he was a guy that was projected to be late lottery, outside of the lottery, middle of the first round type of guy. Got some feedback, ended up deciding, hey, I'm going to bet on myself, go another year in college and stay, maybe improve that draft stock. And man, he went from projected middle first round guy last year to undrafted this year. Kind of hurt his stock, very inconsistent, undersized, should have just taken what he had. But I respect trying to bet on yourself here. Just obviously one of those situations that just didn't really help his case, I guess. Which kind of sucks for him, obviously. You never want to see that happen to people that are just trying to bet on themselves. Right now, as I'm still recording, there is nothing new, but expect a lot more stuff to start happening here in the later hours now that the draft is over and going into tomorrow morning when guys are flying people out to do intros and sign contracts and stuff like that. Get ready for a bunch of stuff to be overloaded overnight. Like I said, we're not going to do too much today, not going to talk for too much longer, but I do want to go over the trades that happened today and last night. And were they some wild trades or what? We'll first start off with the one that happened today, and that was Chris Paul, who was recently traded from the Phoenix Suns over to the Washington Wizards in the Bradley Beal trade. Chris Paul getting sent over to the Golden State Warriors, of all teams, for Jordan Poole, Ryan Rollins, Patrick Baldwin Jr. now, I believe, a 2027 second-round pick, and now a 2023, or not a 2023, a 2030 protected first-round pick. Yes, a 2030. I didn't know you could trade picks that far out now. That is wild. You are betting on like fifth graders right there. You are trading a fifth grade basketball player right now for Chris Paul. That is a wild thing to think about. You're looking at it from both ways here. If you're looking at it from the Warrior standpoint, you're getting Chris Paul. He's a veteran point guard. He can come off the bench. You can even play him with Steph. It's going to be a little undersized, yeah, but Steph is good enough to play off the ball anyways, to where Chris Paul could do his thing. And Chris Paul, if he ends up playing off the bench, that's a double-double off the bench that you're going to have consistently every night. That's a great pickup for the Warriors, I believe. And now that you get Jordan Poole out of there, you increase your chances of re-signing Draymond Green. And if you're looking at it the Wizards standpoint, you just got draft picks in years that you didn't even know existed at this point right now. You're not even thinking about those years in any aspect when it comes to trading, but yet you got picks there. You end up getting Ryan Rollins, who I really liked last year in the draft, was the second-round guy. Patrick Baldwin, guy who was really highly touted, guy who was, I think he was a 5-star or a high-end 4-star guy who ended to opting to go to Milwaukee University to play under his dad, who's the coach there. Didn't really have as great of a year and fell all the way down. The Warriors took a shot on him, and now they're sending him to Washington. And then the big part, you get Jordan Poole. Obviously, breakout player the past couple of years, got signed to the big max contract on the rookie extension. Now he gets to go change the scenery, no pressure in Washington, where they obviously don't care about winning at the current moment. Jordan Poole might average 40 a game next year on like 30 shot attempts per game. And you know what? Let him do it, because why not? So Jordan Poole heading over to the Wizards. That is the big part of that trade outside of Chris Paul going to the Warriors. And then the one that I think everybody wants to know about, especially with me, the Memphis Grizzlies find themselves involved in a trade. And it was reported on Wednesday that or it was Wednesday night, that the 3-team trade between the Celtics, the Wizards, and the Clippers with the Kristaps Porzingis trade fell through because of Malcolm Brogdon's injury concerns with the Clippers. I had obviously put out my mock draft and everything prior to that being announced, so that's why we have not talked about that. That whole trade fell through and due to Brogdon's injury concerns, and they now had until midnight to figure out what to do with Porzingis because his opt-in deadline for his player option was at midnight. They were able to find a third team, and that third team was the Memphis Grizzlies, and we come out of this thing looking really nice. The trade still kind of follows the similar path. Porzingis to the Celtics, Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and a second-round pick over to the Wizards. But the interesting parts of this trade is that the Grizzlies are sending Tyus Jones over to the Wizards as well. And they're sending 2 first-round picks, one of them being 25 tonight that eventually got traded down to a second-round pick. And then the other one being the first-round pick of the Warriors next season, which isn't going to be a very high pick, for Marcus Smart. And that is a very, very interesting trade. We'll break it down just a little bit here. Tyus Jones was entering the last year of his contract. $14 million, I believe, is what he was owed this year. It was very apparent that he was going to leave in free agency next year. And Tyus Jones deserves to be a starting point guard in the NBA. I love Tyus Jones so much. He is fantastic for this team. He was always fantastic for this team, and I appreciate him so much for everything he's done for this team because he has saved our ass plenty of times. But with that being said, he deserves to be a starter in the league and earn that type of money that he deserves. Sending him to Washington, where he will guaranteed to be a starter. They can flip him if they want to, but he's guaranteed to be a starter over there and rack up his stuff. We learned with Dylan Brooks and the Dylan Brooks situation entering this year that we needed to capitalize on what Dylan Brooks' value was. His value tanked. We didn't trade him at the trade deadline, and now he's going away as an unrestricted free agent. Sure, we can still construct a sign and trade, but he's basically going away for nothing now. All you needed to do was get something, and the Grizzlies learned from their mistakes that time, and were like, hey, let's go and trade Tyus Jones. They knew they were going to do it this offseason, so let's go and get somebody that's going to impact this team instead of trading for, 2 first-round picks that could turn into whatever. They go and get a full impact player in Marcus Smart, and John Morant being suspended 25 games makes Marcus Smart even more of an important piece to get here. He'll start at point guard for those 25 games that Ja's out, and then when Ja comes back, he's going to play alongside him. Yeah, sure, Smart's a point guard, undersized, he's like 6'3", 6'4", but he's got like a 6'8" wingspan, right? Big enough of a body to be able to guard different forwards. He guards the best player on the court every single time for the Celtics. 2021 Defensive Player of the Year. We now have the 2021 and 2022 he's the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year. We have both 2022 and 2023 Defensive Player of the Years on our team in Marcus Smart and Jaren Jackson Jr., the back-to-back Defensive Player of the Years. I'm going to keep repeating that because it is crazy to say that we have that. I don't know if that's ever happened before in life, that 2 Defensive Player of the Years recently after getting them are playing on the exact same team as one another. So that is crazy to have happen. I am super excited and ready to see what Marcus Smart can do on this team because he's going to impact way more than what the box score shows. He's a true vet, has never missed the playoffs since coming into the NBA, right? fantastic defender. We know about all that stuff, but his vet presence and his locker room leadership, he's very vocal. Jason Tatum has spoken out many times about how he's really changed his career around and given him a different perspective and made him a better leader because of it. I can't wait to see what he's going to do coming into the Grizzlies organization, taking on that grit and grind type of era. Him and Tony Allen had a similar career path. Went to Oklahoma State, drafted by the Celtics, played there for a long time. At the age 29 season, ends up going to the Grizzlies. Like, it's all like connecting dots for this to perfectly work out for us. And I cannot wait to see how this turns out, because obviously the Grizzlies are not done making moves. They drafted a guy who's really young in this class at 45, and I doubt they're done because they need to go get a wing that'll help solidify this team. And I am excited. I can't keep saying it enough. I'm excited to see what we do. But those are the big trades that have happened. There's nothing else big. We're still on Dame watch. We're still on Paul George watch, Zach LaVine watch, maybe Zion watch. We'll see what happens. Things are going to start breaking down over the weekend. Next Friday is the start of free agency. The league year opens up. So get ready to see a lot of trades and cap construction in the next week. On yoursportsdigest.com, my website, you can go there for the free agency tracker once everybody starts to opt in or out of their player options, team options, and decides to do free agency next Friday. We'll have all those things on that website. I have a free agency tracker that'll live update as we go. I appreciate you guys for listening to this short little episode right here. Just kind of wanted to break it down for you if you did not watch the draft and you wanted to hear a couple of the big names that ended up going places. I'll be back to you guys Monday with a regularly scheduled program, a little bit longer episode like normal. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll find out when we get there. But I appreciate you all for listening. Again, check out the website. Check out all the socials at Your Sports Digest. Appreciate you all again. I'm Alex McNinch, and you just got your Sports Digest.